Superman is legendary, but to be honest, he's a bit of a bore. With as powerful as he is, who could possibly pose a challenge to this mighty Kryptonian? Well, more people than you think, actually. When you're an intergalactic being whose only purpose is to travel the galaxy and eat planets, you're likely to be a bit more powerful than the average superhero. The only survivor of the Marvel universe that existed before the current one, Galactus is a cosmic baddie who brings balance to the universe by numbing on the energy of life on planets. In many ways, Galactus is more of a force of nature than anything else. His insatiable drive to annihilate all life on a targeted world, many technological advantages, and the ill-defined, immensely potent power cosmic he wields are all elements that essentially make him a cheat code in any battle. Superman has never squared off with the World Eater, which is a good thing for Earth's mightiest Kryptonian, since should DC's premier superhero find his way to Marvel's reality, he'd be immediately outclassed. To Galactus, Superman would be little more than an annoying insect who cannot do him direct harm. That's not to say that the cosmic being is unbeatable, but the Man of Steel lacks the knowledge or means to take the massive being down on his own. If Superman ever decided to take on Spawn, a Hell Army commander from the true Down Under, he'd likely prove victorious, at least until Spawn decided to go all divine on him. Spawn uses magic, and Clark Kent's alter ego doesn't have a natural defense against magical attacks, but Spawn in his initial form also had a finite amount of power, which Superman could simply run down to defeat him. Things get a little more interesting if the last son of Krypton takes on the version of Spawn that became the King of Hell, but even with this power-up, Superman still probably comes out on top. That's when we get to the most powerful version of the Hell creation, Divine Spawn. He has similar abilities as previous incarnations, but is so incredibly powerful that he can depower both God and Satan with ease, making it likely that he could take down the non-godly Superman. Popping up in 1940, the Spectre isn't a typical DC Comics superhero because he's actually God's divine representation of vengeance. His powers are pretty much immeasurable, as he's nearly omnipotent, since, well, he's essentially God and all. Spectre and Superman actually faced off against one another in DC Comics Presents issue 29, and it didn't end in the Man of Steel's favor. While trying to save the missing Supergirl, Superman is stopped by Spectre, literally bouncing off his body when he tried to go through him. The comic decisively proves that Spectre is more powerful than Superman, since every attempt Kal-El makes to get by is easily thwarted. Fortunately for Supes, Spectre is more interested in teaching him a lesson than fighting, and the two are usually on the same side. Of all the Man of Steel's allies, Martian Manhunter is the only one he has admitted to being straight up scared to go up against. Even though they're both classic DC good guys, friends fight sometimes, and Martian Manhunter and Superman have traded blows over the years. They reluctantly fight one another in DC Comics Presents issue 26, where Superman comes out on top, which seems to run counterintuitive to the whole theme we've got going on here. But when friends fight, they hold back, and Martian Manhunter has never fully committed to taking down Superman. To be frank, Martian Manhunter's mental abilities alone could likely defeat Superman, despite the latter's impressive skills in resisting psychic attacks. Even before he was helping the Avengers set box office records as a worthy adversary, Thanos has been one of the MCU's most famous baddies. An eternal deviant hybrid, Thanos has many abilities as a result of his genetics, and he's not invulnerable with the standard sets of superhuman strength, durability, stamina, and agility. Honestly, Thanos is probably objectively stronger and more durable than the Man of Steel. They could trade blows for a long time, but ultimately, Thanos would eventually leave Superman in the dirt as he went off to accomplish whatever goal he had going on at that moment. Oh, and just to be clear, we're talking about Thanos without a cosmic weapon. If he's rocking the Infinity Gauntlet,
I could simply snap my fingers. They would all cease to exist. I call that mercy.
Add in the fact that he's a genius and master tactician, and Supes is better off staying in his own comic book universe. The only shot old Kal-El might have at a non-gauntleted Thanos is if he released all his energy in a rarely used super flare attack, but if that failed, so would he. Dr. Manhattan was once a man named Dr. John Osterman, who had a bad day at work when he was accidentally exposed to an experiment that tore him apart on an atomic level. It takes time, but he eventually reforms his body. Only his bold, blue, occasionally in the buff, and so powerful that the term godlike doesn't do him justice. Manhattan initially appeared in Watchmen, which took place in its own separate universe from the DCU. But in 2017, he played a central role in the Doomsday Clock crossover event, where he met and sorta fought Superman. Like many before him, Superman gets angry at Manhattan's lack of giving a crap about people dying.
But why would I save a world I no longer have any stake in.
Supes takes a swing at him, but he just passes through and punches a guy behind Manhattan instead, though it's unsure if he actually knew that would happen. Dr. Manhattan could easily turn the former farm boy into a pile of pink slime, erase him from reality, or simply remove the entire DC universe from existence if he really wanted to. His only weakness is tachyons, which disrupt his ability to see the future, but other than that, he's an unstoppable force that Superman has no hope of defeating. Dr. Stephen Strange is a master of the mystic arts and the Sorcerer Supreme, titles they aren't just handing out to anyone on the street. He's incredibly powerful due to his understanding of magic, and the Good Doctor also has an arsenal of magic artifacts he can use for a variety of purposes. Since Superman isn't great with magic, he would have a tough go of it fighting a proper mage. There are several in the DC universe, but few come close to the level of power exhibited by Doctor Strange. If Superman had a hankering for beating up a doctor, his only chance would be to catch the Avenger by surprise, because should Strange see him coming, there's little Supes could do to stop him. Doctor Strange could abandon Superman in a dimension full of kryptonite or transport him into the planet's core. Really, the only limit to the ways he could dispatch the part-time reporter is his own imagination. Time to get meta. Superboy Prime comes from a reality where Superman only exists as a comic book character. Eventually, Prime learns that he's actually the last son of Krypton and gets brought into the cosmic crossover event Crisis on Infinite Earths. Sometime later, his values get twisted, and he becomes a supervillain intent on proving he's the only true superhero in all of reality. Superboy Prime is significantly more powerful than Superman and amplifies his already incredible powers with solar armor, which uses energy from the sun to further strengthen and protect him. But to be honest, the armor is overkill. Superboy Prime once destroyed the Watchtower, nearly killed Martian Manhunter, and killed 32 Green Lanterns in a single attack, and could do the same to Superman. Wanda Maximoff has gotten a few power-ups for abilities since she debuted in 1964. Nowadays, Maximoff, aka the Scarlet Witch, is able to alter all of reality with a thought, though she doesn't have much control over this ability. When she's in control of her abilities, Wanda is incredibly powerful and a talented magic user, and since we've established that Superman isn't great at handling magic attacks, it's a pretty obvious advantage. She could skip the attacks entirely and simply decide that Superman never existed, or she could completely strip him of his powers.
This is me being reasonable.
When altering reality is on the table, there's very little Superman can do to defend himself short of fleeing to another universe. Dr. Fate has gone through many changes, but one thing that has remained a constant is his magical prowess. There's that magic word again, which old Supes has got to be sick of hearing at this point. Fate is empowered by 3 magical items: the Helmet of Fate, a magical amulet, and a cloak. These combine to grant whomever wears them incredible magical power and fighting abilities, though the helmet does cause most people to eventually go insane, but that's a problem for later.
What happens if I touch it anyway?
Soul-crushing terror? Or something.
So we should probably put a towel on it, right?
Fate could take Superman down with a mental attack or put him to sleep if he wanted. He could mix it up with some time travel shenanigans or alter reality to have one less Superman in it. It seems that if you have a PhD, you've got a much better chance of taking down Superman. So to all you kids watching, stay in school. Uh-oh, Supes, here comes another Doctor. Although he first appeared in 1962, it's Dr. Solar's 1991 incarnation that's significantly more powerful. In another on-the-job incident, Dr. Phil Selesky was working as a physicist when an accident transformed him into a being of pure energy. In this new form, he can control all matter and energy in the universe. Essentially, the accident made him into a god. Suffice it to say, once his enemy gets all godly, it's bad news for the last son of Krypton. Solar can manipulate time, gravity, and reality itself, negating anything Superman could possibly do to stop him. Mr. Mxyzptlk may essentially just be a pain in Superman's mighty buns of steel, but his real superpower is being a pain to anyone who tries to pronounce his name. Seriously, there's like a million ways to say it, so leave me alone in the comments, okay? A magical imp from the 5th dimension who enjoys annoying Superman by altering reality in inventive and humorous ways. Mxyzptlk can famously be banished back to his home dimension by getting tricked into spelling or speaking his name backward. Fortunately, Superman is usually adept at getting Mr. Mxyzptlk to do this, but he should be thankful that the little guy is more interested in pranks rather than something more nefarious, since he's infinitely powerful and capable of altering reality in any way he sees fit. Mr. Mxyzptlk could wipe Superman off the face of reality with nothing but a thought. In terms of strength, Superman could defeat Professor Charles Xavier by sneezing on him and sending the wheelchaired man through a building or two, but the tricky part would be getting into the mutant's general vicinity. Since Professor X's abilities would keep Superman from getting anywhere near him, he can use his impressive powers directly, or he could use Cerebro to amplify a psychic attack on Superman from across the planet. Really, all Xavier needs to do is think really hard about Superman, and he'd probably be able to kill him right then and there. Xavier could also take over Superman's body if he wanted to, or place him into a coma. The Man of Steel's only chance would be to catch Xavier unaware, but since the guy is a telepath and all, that's easier said than done.
The next time you feel like showing off, don't.
Darkseid is the tyrannical overlord of the planet Apocalypse, where he rules over an army of parademons and other incredibly powerful beings. While he has other despotic interests, Darkseid's main goal is to find and control the anti-life equation, which gives its bearer full control over all sentient life. On his own, Darkseid's list of powers is long and includes many of the same capabilities shared by the last son of Krypton, which means he can take him on in direct combat. Add not only an army but an entire world at his disposal, and Darkseid is easily one of the most dangerous beings in the DC universe. He's fought Superman on many occasions, and while the Man of Steel ultimately wins, Darkseid has defeated his nemesis a time or two as well. That said, in a storyline that reveals a possible future of the DC universe, they fight one another to the death, a final confrontation that ends in a fatal draw.